Every year as the summer heat intensifies, so does the risk of hurricanes. June marks the beginning of the Atlantic hurricane season. So from now until the end of November, when this season ends, let us take the right steps to prepare, plan, and stay informed. From the science behind these powerful storms to learning the safety measures and how to react. It is so good to have you here with us for another viewing of Jamaica Magazine. I am the one and only Adrian Atkinson, who will be guiding you through the next half hour. There's more coming up after this. Don't go anywhere.
Good day, I'm Theodore Henry, and this is your JIS News for Tuesday, June 4, 2024. 5 regulations to facilitate the rollout of the National Identification System NIDS were approved by the Senate on Friday. The measures are part of the National Identification and Registration Authority (NIRA) regulations. They provide clear details on the registration process, the security of information, and the assignment and verification of NIDS numbers. The regulations also outline provisions for an independent appeals tribunal and the framework under which NIRA may administer authentication and verification services with accredited third parties. Minister with responsibility for information skills and digital transformation, Senator Dr. Dana Morris Dixon, piloted the measures. She said that the regulations, which were reviewed by the NIRA board, involved significant consultations with a variety of representatives from the public and private sectors, civil society groups, and the public. She noted that the measures reflected the significance of data protection in the operation of NIDS.
The personal data of enrollees, enrolled individuals, and past enrollees must be protected with confidentiality and security. These regulations were not only informed by the Data Protection Act of Jamaica, but by several jurisdictions where national identification systems have been introduced and where data protection is recognized as essential.
2 other regulations were tabled in the upper house for information purposes only. One will facilitate the use of prescribed forms in digital format, and the other outlines the role of Tax Administration Jamaica in assigning registration numbers to persons seeking to enroll in NIDS but who do not have a TRN. Registration applications for data controllers is to be done in order of priority. That's according to the Office of the Information Commissioner (OIC) in a public notice issued on June 2. The OIC says it is balancing the rights and interests of all people as it phases the implementation of the Data Protection Act. In the first phase, from June 1 to August 31, 2024, the OIC will process all public authorities and then all data controllers who process personal data, inclusive of sensitive personal data or those related to criminal convictions. This for an estimated 10,000 or more data subjects operating within the education, finance, health, information and communications technology, and tourism and hospitality sectors. However, the OIC says any data controller can submit their application for registration, including sole proprietors, practitioners or operators of micro, small and medium-sized enterprises, MSMEs, across all sectors or industries. Persons must have a validated data controller account to access the registration form. This is accessible on the My OIC portal at oic.gov.jm. Data controllers who have already created their accounts and received a verification email from the OIC may use the information in the email to access the registration form and enter their particulars. Under the Data Protection Act, which took effect on December 1, 2023, persons holding, receiving, using, collecting, or dealing with personal identifiable information of any individual are considered data controllers and must be registered with the OIC. The House of Representatives has approved the Customs Act 2020, making room for the modernization of practices and procedures at our ports and to facilitate trade more effectively and efficiently. The legislation was deliberated by a joint select committee of Parliament over a 2-year period and tabled in the lower house by Finance Minister Dr. Nigel Clark during the last sitting.
The bill, Mr. Speaker, represents a transformation in the way in which citizens of Jamaica and users of our ports and other ports and airports engage with customs. The first aspect of the transformation is the simplest one, and that is in one document. We have the entire Customs Act along with all of the schedules.
The modernization is expected to bring benefits for the trading community and the Jamaica Customs Agency. These include improving customs clearance and revenue collection processes, simplifying procedures for businesses, and providing more efficient service delivery to the public.
So the situation today is one that gives an advantage to entities that are more resourced because they have the opportunity, they have the personnel and the resources to be able to deal with the complexity of 50 separate pieces, 50 separate documents. By having everything in one schedule, what we do is we level the playing field. Because the business that has 2 people in it or a sole trader can understand the document. It's all they want is for it to be in one place.
The bill replaces the original Customs Act of 1941 and was first tabled in 2020. July 1, 2024 is the new date when the 4th phase of single-use plastic ban will take effect. This is an extension from the June 1 date. The revised date is an acknowledgement by the government to the concerns of stakeholders. The additional month is to allow for further fine-tuning of administrative arrangements, stakeholder engagement, and public education. Minister with responsibility for the environment, Senator Matthew Samuda, says the extension of the implementation date will cause very little trade disruptions and will enhance market readiness for the necessary changes. Effective July 1, the importation, distribution, sale, or use of any single-use plastic food container made wholly or in part of polyethylene, polypropylene, or polylactic acid will be prohibited. The ban, however, excludes related transparent plastic lids until environmentally friendly alternatives become available. Additionally, existing stock imported before this date will be exempt. A further ban on plastic will take effect on July 1, 2025 to include personal care and cosmetic products containing intentionally added plastic microbeads or microplastics. The period from now to then will provide for thorough consultation and sensitization among private sector stakeholders and regulatory authorities to ensure a smooth transition. And finally, the Meteorological Service has announced that a tropical wave currently across the Central Caribbean is expected to move into the vicinity of Jamaica by Tuesday afternoon. According to the Met Service, the system will bring unstable weather conditions across the island with increased rainfall continuing through to Friday. The forecast for the next 3 days indicates that periods of showers and thunderstorms will affect most parishes, especially in the afternoons, with the most intense rainfall expected across eastern parishes. Fishers and other marine interests are being advised to exercise caution as sea conditions will deteriorate in the vicinity of showers, thunderstorms, and gusty winds. The Meteorological Service says it will continue to monitor the system. And that's it for JIS News Today. I'm Theodore Henry. Thanks for watching.
The Joint Select Committee of Parliament reviewing the Domestic Violence Act wants to hear from you. Review the Act and share your opinions with the committee. You can find a copy of the Act on the Parliament's website at www.japarliament.gov.jm under the heading publications. Once you've reviewed the act, submit your written opinions by Friday, June 14, 2024 to Clerk to the Houses, Gordon House, 81 Duke Street, Kingston, or email them at clark@japarliament.gov.jm. Let your voice be heard.
Prime Minister Andrew Holness was, of course, out and about last week dealing with matters relating to development and providing a better life for the people of Jamaica. Let's now get a recap to keep you in the loop.
Prime Minister Andrew Holness last week mobilized a $24.8 billion water project to relieve supply issues facing the western side of the country. This is being done under the Western Water Resilience Program over the next 3 years. Work includes the installation and replacement of 2 major transmission pipelines from the Martha Bray Water Treatment Plant in Trelawney to the Terminal Reservoir in St. James, and from the Great River Water Treatment Plant in St. James to Negril in Westmoreland. Mr. Holness says the project will enable a significant increase in the supply of water to the areas served by the treatment plants that will be impacted.
The pre-engineering phase of this project has commenced at the cost of 32 million Jamaican dollars. This will last 6 weeks. During that period, the National Water Commission, in collaboration with the Ministry of Finance, will complete the necessary technical and administrative work to facilitate the deployment of US $160 million, that is Jamaican $24.8 billion, for the installation and replacement of these 2 pipelines.
In the meantime, the Prime Minister says short and medium-term responses will continue. They include trucking water, addressing leaks, installing new pumps and standby generators, and decalcifying pipes. Mr. Holness also issued a stern warning that acts of favoritism or corruption in the trucking of water would not be tolerated. He directed the National Water Commission to establish a hotline and email address dedicated to receiving complaints.
And as soon as the complaints are brought to the attention of the NWC, we will pass them on to MOCA for investigations to be done to bring charges and prosecution against persons who have been identified in this regard. Madam Speaker, we take it very seriously. There should be no corruption or favoritism in the distribution of water. We have to be prepared. We have to be ready.
That's the charge from Prime Minister Andrew Holness to stakeholders and citizens as we enter the hurricane season. The forecast indicates an above-average season, with projections of 17 to 25 named storms, 8 to 13 hurricanes, and 4 to 7 major hurricanes of Category 3 or higher.
Is therefore an appropriate time to assess the exposure of homes, infrastructure, services, productive activities, and our workplaces.
The Prime Minister was addressing the National Disaster Risk Management Council meeting in St. Anne on Wednesday. He called on the authorities to ensure that shelters are ready and operational, and for individuals to prepare personal items ahead of a possible call to evacuate to a shelter. On a national level, Mr. Holness informed that the National Disaster Fund was at more than $550 million, a substantial increase from the initial $100 million the fund started with. He attributed this to sound fiscal management and financing instruments made available through the Inter-American Development Bank and the Caribbean Catastrophe Risk Insurance Facility. The Prime Minister asserted that these and other measures strengthen the country's ability to recover in the aftermath of catastrophic natural disasters, such as a severe hurricane or earthquake.
we must be able to recover, within the year that the event occurred. In fact, months after the event occurred. That must be our target, and I'm saying this to all of you who are here, that you have to, your agencies that are responsible for recovery, that has to be your plan. Whatever we're doing, it is for the benefit, both the immediate and long-term benefit of all public sector workers.
Prime Minister Holness was the keynote speaker at the Jamaica Civil Service Association's annual general meeting on Thursday. He told the members that greater focus would be placed on access to education and training of public sector workers to build the capacity of the labor force and facilitate retention.
So the government will be embarking on an even more expanded program to ensure that all our workers are trained for the jobs that they currently have, to improve their skills. But more than that, we have to make sure that we future-proof our workers.
Mr. Holness said it was through increased productivity that the country would be able to build a defense against the erosion of purchasing power caused by inflation.
So let us together redefine the struggles. We are not, we sit on opposite sides of the table to negotiate, but we are all trying to solve the same problem. Because the new battle that we have requires us to be unified, and it requires a higher level of understanding and a willingness to unite together in the struggle for a better life for all of us.
Back at Jamaica House, Prime Minister Holness engaged national youth representatives on matters relating to the constitutional reform process.
It's very important that our young people, particularly those who are going to transition into positions of leadership in the society, are integrally involved in determining what I like to call the governance architecture of the country, and have a voice and a say in what that architecture will look like and what it will deliver.
Mr. Holness says youth leaders' dedication and insightful questions about the constitution reform process are truly commendable and demonstrate their commitment to shaping the future of our nation. He says the government is fully committed to inclusivity and ensuring that every voice is heard and valued.
When you're dealing with the constitution, it's always going to be a very difficult task, because you have to give everyone a hearing, you have to give everyone an opportunity, not just to be heard, but to have their points expressed sometimes repetitively, and that it goes through a genuine process of debate. But I believe the Constitutional Reform Committee exercised great patience, and what I see as an end result is a genuine attempt at trying to include all the views and balance the conflicting views to come to a position that all Jamaicans can mobilize and rally around.
Closing out last week, Prime Minister Holness congratulated Jaden Hibbert on his phenomenal achievement at the Racers Grand Prix on Saturday. Jaden's 17.75-meter triple jump earned him a new stadium record and world lead. Mr. Holness encouraged the young athlete to keep soaring to new heights and make himself and Jamaica proud. And that's it for Jamaica House Weekly. Be sure to join us next time for more of the news stories coming out of the office of the Prime Minister.
We know you want better roads in your towns and communities. That is why through the SPARK program, your government is allocating over $40 billion over 2 years to fix your community and rural roads. $20 billion will go towards fixing smaller roads in every area, with $150 million allocated per area. The remaining funds will be distributed based on road length and condition, ensuring areas with greater need receive more assistance. Your government is caring for you.
The proceeding was brought to you by the Office of the Prime Minister.
It requires a clear vision, strong leadership, and commitment to improve any organization. This, of course, comes from assessing performance, embracing feedback, then implementing change. Let's now learn more about the early years of the Overseas Examinations Commission, OEC, and what it took to get it to where it is today.
Tucked away among more famous neighbours, on a street that's named after one of London's busiest thoroughfares, stands an entity that's at the heart of Jamaica's secondary, tertiary, and professional education. The name Overseas Examinations Commission may be synonymous with finalizing exams for secondary education. After all, the company started out by administering the GCE to 47 students in 1887. But the company offers so much more.
So for example, now we scan examination papers, and this is in collaboration with the Ministry of Education and an overseas body that will actually do the imaging and so on. We offer transcript services far and wide, and the OEC brand is known and respected and accepted in all major universities, and some of them that are not so major. As far as Australia, as far north as Northern Europe, we have provided those services. So that is another a major activity for us here. And of course now, the other support service that will help us to pay the people who work for us, to ensure that we have the kind of staff we need, and to underpin all of that is our IT department that provides now what has become critical. When we moved over here in 2008, we had a quasi-network. Now we are in the nerve of this organization is so far-reaching and so in-depth and so technical that the IT department has to come in for some mention.
We actually moved into this building in 2007. For decades, the Overseas Examinations Committee operated out of a board building on Piccadilly Road. Back then it was modern, but now we are getting to a space where we can make it even more modern and even more state-of-the-art, especially as examinations move into the digital space. Many of our students are now doing their exams online and so on. So we're transitioning now into this digital space. And so we're looking to upgrade our facilities and having the kind of environment that students can write their exams electronically, and we can have the electronic transfer of data and the resolution of problems, and all of those issues can be handled electronically.
In the early years, it was O-level and advanced level. And all schools were doing these O-level and advanced level subjects. And University of London too, external exams. We had the LLB exams, which I think we still do now. The office still does. But as soon as CXC started to come on street, CXC started with English and maths first as trial subjects. And then gradually they, put in other subjects, and other subjects came on street until now. CXC has a whole slate of the exams that Cambridge used to do, but they're more Caribbean-based. Eventually, Cambridge and London got to understand just where we were going, and they were very cooperative. They understood. I can't forget when Cambridge sent somebody there, and all we had was typewriters, And he said, very soon, you're going to see a computer on each desk. And I'm sure we have reached there now, where you have a computer on each desk. But we really are coming from a far, far way. The curriculum too, up to the time I left, was incorporating subjects like music and drama, which was not in the Cambridge slate of subjects that CXC was bringing in. And I'm sure by now they have brought in more. So the whole idea that CXC had of making examinations more Caribbean-oriented, I think they succeeded.
Our tagline is IRE, integrity, reliability, innovation, and efficiency. That really has been our guiding principle. I mean, for any organization that has been able to exist and to continue to function well for the decades that we've been functioning, must be built on very sound moral and ethical principles. The administration of examination is a very serious business in any country, because this is where persons leaving the system must prove that they have acquired the skills and the credentials to be able to enter the world of work, university, colleges, and so on. So the preservation of the integrity of examination is a huge part of our mission. And I think we've done extremely well over the decades in preserving that legacy and preserving those ethical and moral principles to ensure that the qualifications that students have are really evidence of their own abilities and their own skill sets and their own intellectual development.
Data from the National Road Safety Council shows that 90% of motorcyclists who die on our roads were not wearing a helmet. Don't let that be you. Wearing a helmet could save you and your pillion's life. In the event of a crash, the helmet can protect you against severe head injuries. Wearing a helmet can also help to reduce wind noise and light rays while driving. Let's work to reduce the carnage on our roads. Wear a helmet, ride safely.
Our pensioners are our society's backbone, and we want to make sure they are cared for. That is why the annual pension exemption and age relief exemption has been increased to $250,000 each. You have worked hard for your country, and we want you to have a little more peace of mind in retirement. Your government is caring for you.
The proceeding was brought to you by the Office of the Prime Minister.
We're now at the end of our program, but be sure to join us again tomorrow for another lineup geared towards providing you with information on the government's policies and initiatives for building a better Jamaica. In the meantime, you may visit our website, jis.gov.jm, to re-watch this show or to catch up on others we have on the site. I'm Adrian Atkinson from our production team here at the JIS. Thank you so much for watching, and do take care.
This has been a production of the Jamaica Information Service, the voice of Jamaica.